Pokemon Sword and Shield is bad because the trees look straight out of an N64 and you shouldn't play because it's bad. High quality animations. Look at Xenoblade Chronicles. Look at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Game Freak is lazy. Did I get everything? Well, after 5 to 6 years, I decided to revisit and dive back into the land of Galar. And I have to say, I really quite enjoyed myself. I do understand and see the criticisms that people were saying about these games, but hey, I still had a good time. It's still Pokemon. Pokemon is fun. People love to play Pokemon. And for me personally, I think the games were pretty. They're cartoony, they're colorful, they're not the absolute best that they can be, but nevertheless, they're still enjoyable to look at, enjoyable to play, you know? So were they really that bad? I don't think so. But I just feel like back then it was a trend to hate. People were just hating to hate back then, and maybe they still kind of are now, with valid criticisms, of course, but it shouldn't be a deterrent for people to play Pokemon anymore. Like, I still think it's worth it to play Pokemon, and we're going to go over today 5 reasons why I think this game still holds up, and maybe 5 ways that, your criticisms are valid and we can probably make some more improvements. All right, let's begin. The options that you're given to personalize your character seem endless when comparing it to the rest of the series. Not only do you have the option to change your skin and eye colors, but you also now have access to a huge catalog of different hairstyles and outfits, ensuring you can always be dressed for the occasion. You can change your style based on the weather, or just simply whatever you're feeling at the time. It never feels like you're stuck with one specific design for your character, and due to that, I feel you as the player are more connected to the game world. In this playthrough, I went for the cute nerd that ends up a punk goth aesthetic, and I had a lot of fun with it. I'm kind of excited at the thought of completely changing this dynamic during my next journey through Galar. If you haven't already, you should check this out and let me know what styles you came up with. Pokemon games have always had great music, and this game in the franchise is no different. At times, I find myself when I'm out and about, I'll have a song or two stuck in my head from this game because it's just so good. Listen to some of these bangers. These are my favorites from the game. We've got the Gym Leader battle theme, which is so hype. The adorable Marnie theme. The unexpectedly good Chairman Rose fight. The intense Zacian battle theme. And we can't forget the awesome Battle Tower theme. A lot of these songs truly capture the feeling of the moment of the experience, and it's awesome. But truly, truly, I believe the music in this game is reason enough to play it. Now, weather's been in Pokemon before, but I feel like the role and relevance of weather has become more and more apparent as time went on. In Gen 2, weather was introduced as a battle mechanic, which was pretty neat, but didn't really affect anything outside of battle. In Gen 3, Weather started to affect the world itself. Specific routes had specific weather, and there were weather related changes due to the story events. Thanks, Groudon and Kyogre. Gen 5 had weather changes that accompanied each season, so certain Pokemon could only be caught in a specific season because of that weather. By the time we reach Gen 8, the game introduces a shifting weather mechanic where one of 9 different types of weather can occur for each section of the wild area and the DLC areas from day to day. Tons of Pokemon are weather exclusive, so seeing the Pokemon change with the weather made the game feel more immersive and feel a bit more realistic, in my opinion. It's a very welcome addition to the series. I love that more fire Pokemon come out during a really sunny day. However, I know everyone's not going to be a fan of that. People are impatient. They don't want to wait for specific weather for a specific Pokemon. So if that's you, you could just go on your Switch and change the internal clock and wha-bam, new weather, just like that, magic. That's pretty cool too. Now we get to talk about my absolute favorite part of the game, the boss battles. I really like the portrayal of boss fights in this. Gym battles, I think, are the most hype boss fights in all of Pokemon. It's something that people look forward to as they put together their teams. The gym puzzles leading up to the fights were never really anything to write home about, but they did build the anticipation for the upcoming fight. At least they stayed in theme. Although I still don't know what the heck was the point of this. Once you pass a gym puzzle, you enter the center of a huge stadium filled with people from all over it cheering you on as you take on your opponent. It reminds me a lot of the first Pokemon League matches that Ash took on when I was growing up. Gym battles and Champion Cup battles were so intense. Dynamaxing isn't as cool as Megas to me, but they were still cool enough to maintain the excitement and intensity of these battles. The story boss fights were also exciting and intense, but more in like everyone's gonna die if you don't do something type of way. I really liked working together with the cover legendaries to stop the true evil. There were a couple of memorable cinematic moments that made this game really stand out in my opinion. Some Pokemon games get a lot of flack for not having much to do after you beat the main story, but not this game. There's lots of new Pokemon to catch, new areas to visit, and characters to meet. You could check out the Battle Tower, go on adventures with your friends, or just chill with your Pokemon. I had a lot of fun just playing with my Pokemon and cooking food for them. I wasn't the biggest fan of the whole cub food part. It's hard to play a game when it forces you to drop your team and solely focus on a wannabe Karate Kid bear. But hey, I know there's Cub Fu fans out there somewhere, so more power to you, all 3 of you. You can easily clock tens to hundreds of hours in this game, and if you play competitively or shiny hunt, even more. There's many directions you can go with the post game, and it's really nice to have options. Look, I know a lot of this stuff is outside of the base game, and maybe that's another conversation for another day. But the point is, once you beat the story, there's plenty of things that you can do. And that's cool, right? Now, while I think Sword and Shield has a lot going for it, they are by no means the perfect Pokemon games. So, we're going to go over a few things I think where they can make some improvements. Most of the entire Pokemon roster returned in this game, but I feel like it was a missed opportunity to showcase every single Pokemon up until this point. I mean, it's the first Pokemon game on a home console. Like, if anything, that would be the point to celebrate the series, and have every Pokemon be a part of it. I feel like that was such a missed opportunity. Power scaling is interesting in this game because I feel like they handled it pretty well for the beginning of the Isle of Armor. I feel like if you wanted to go early, like before even your first badge, the scaling was pretty good. Like I was on par with the wild Pokemon and the trainers there. So if you were able to do scaling on that level, why not just scale the entire game? Give us the freedom to choose whatever badge we wanted to go for first. Like imagine going for Raihan first. It would give each player their own unique experience and journey in Galar, and I think that'd be really, really cool. Speaking of Raihan, I was kind of expecting more double battles to be in the game. I'm not saying make the entire game be filled with double battles, but maybe like half. Like it definitely feels like it was missing from the game. And I think not just for the level of challenge, but fun that double battles bring to the table. There really should have been more in the game. Dynamax raids with the computer were just basically RNG hell. Like at the beginning of the game, it was something new and fresh and fun. But as you progress through the game, you realize you kind of run into the same CPU helpers over and over and over again. And they don't exactly scale to what you're fighting. So you get into a battle with a 5-star raid. Let's say it's a Hatterene, and the computers are comprised of a team, a Magikarp that knows Hydro Pump, a Soul Rock that only does Cosmic Power the entire fight, and maybe like an Eevee with Helping Hand, which, okay, sometimes that Helping Hand helped out. But you'd think, like, as you progress through the game, as you get to the end game, as you get to the post game, like the teams would kind of change up and get a little bit better, maybe more competitively. But no, that doesn't happen. I guess if I think about it, they wanted to encourage people to play with other people, but it kind of sucks because like the whole Nintendo Online paywall thing, you know, or if you are like me and decided to play this game 5 to 6 years later when nobody cares about it, you're kind of just stuck with the computers. It just seems like an oversight here. They could have made at least the computers a bit more competent. I'm still really irritated and insulted by that Magikarp. Now, personally, I was a fan of the experience share. Sometimes I'm not in the mood for grinding levels. I kind of just want a smooth flowing experience through the game. And it was great. However, I quickly began to realize it was just Score Bunny the game. Like, I never needed to switch him out. And it actually got to a point where I got Score Bunny before even the third gym, which is absolutely crazy to me. But I kind of like that stuff. I like going through a Pokemon game and feeling overpowered. I get that that doesn't work for people, and they really should have given us the option to turn off the experience share whenever we wanted for those people that really wanted a challenge. At the end of the day, it didn't bother me, but I could totally see the valid criticism of this. And I could see people being discouraged from wanting to return to this, not wanting the easier game that was made even easier. This one is less of a critique and more of a suggestion. Voice acting. Now, I know a lot of people think, what's the point of voice acting if I'm just going to master the dialogue anyway? And maybe there's some validity to that statement, but you can't deny that voice acting adds a whole new layer to a video game, and it gives you a chance to really connect with the world and its characters. Some cinematic scenes are really, really enhanced by voice acting, and I feel like that's true for this game as well. There's not too many cinematic moments, but think about it, like the intro when Chairman Rhodes is making his big declaration. That would have been nice to be voiced. Or the big fight with Zacian and Zamazenta against Eternatus. Like, that would have been really, really cool to be voiced as well. I truly feel it's a missed opportunity for certain scenes to have voice acting because then we get stuff like this. The other argument I hear people say is that voice acting wouldn't just be English, it would be like a whole bunch of different languages, and you got to hire all the voice actors. And yeah, that's fair. But my counter to that is Pokemon has money. But even if they're not willing to belt out all that money for voice actors, my point still stands that the games would be enhanced by voice acting. Like, meet us in the middle, Pokemon. Just have voice acting for the cinematic moments. Like, take the approach of Breath of the Wild and Tears. There's not voice acting everywhere, just kind of where it counts. And I think it's done really, really well. Not to make a a comparison to Breath of the Wild, like how we did in the beginning of this video. But, I feel like in the right doses, voice acting can truly enhance the Pokemon experience. To be honest, I would love a fully voiced Pokemon game. I think that would be amazing. But I think this is a good middle ground. Just focus on the cinematic moments, the the really, really important story moments, and just take it from there. So what did you think about Pokemon Sword and Shield? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think my opinion is trash and I should just go away? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, with the recent announcement of Legends Zygarde, I kind of been wanting to revisit Kalos, so make sure to subscribe, that way you don't miss the video. Alright, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Peace.